Why do people like horror movies? Like seriously, it doesn't seem to make much sense to me. Nobody really likes to be scared. Some might say they do, but have you ever really enjoyed being followed down a dark street at night?
Nobody feels happy when their significant other person bursts out the closet surprising the hell out of them. And if an honest to fucking godness, a ghost appeared in front of you, the feeling of sheer terror you would feel would not be a nice one. Fear is inherently unpleasant emotion, so why do millions of horror junkies around the world crave it? Why do so many of you go out the way to experience fear and dread and disgust?
So what gives? Why do so many of us go out of our way and even pay good money to consume frightening entertainment?
Scary movies are something you enjoy or resist at all costs. Logically, we should run away from fear-inducing stuff. Yet horror movies find a way to get a huge audience fan base. It's little confusing if you stop thinking about it. But horror entertainment is very common genre. People watch horror movies for three main reasons: suspense, relevance, and unrealism. For others, watching creepy movies can be whole experience of mystery and shock. Others who are attracted to it because of relevance find elements in the film that they can relate to. Many who like horror because of their unrealism love it because they know that it is all fake anyway. For them, it's just pure entertainment and fun.
According to studies and experts, there are few different explanations why people like scary movies. Some even find it oddly comforting.
First, being scared can give you a feeling of thrilling rush. Even though horror movies are fake, watching them can trigger a very real fight or flight response. Some experts say the brain doesn't always distinguish between fantasy and reality completely effectively. According to scientists, the brain kind of forgets in that moment that what it is seeing is not real danger and then charge up the psychological response that would be appropriate if it were.
In turn, your body goes into fight or flight mode, which means it is flooded with adrenaline and euphoria inducing brain chemical like endorphins and dopamine, all of which can pump you up and make you feel like you are ready to take on the world. Second reason,
you are terrified but also feel safe. You may get a rush of adrenaline from watching a horror movie, but you are not in any danger when you watch any scary movie. You see scary stuff in controlled setting, and I think that is what we all want. It goes back to the early childhood when you think of a toddler learning to walk. One of the things they like to do is run away from the parent. Get a certain point where it is little scary and then run back. It is about playing with danger but with sense of security. Despite the lack of any real threat, many people still feel a sense of accomplishment when they finish a horror movie.
You feel like I have dealt with something outside of my comfort zone and I have overcome it. Or third explanation,
it helps to prepare for the worst case scenario. Horror movies can act as a life-saving tool as it can make you feel more prepared for the actual danger in your life. It's about trying to predict the world around you. When you are watching a horror movie, some people tend to analyze the motives of characters, like what do other people do when they are in this kind of situation. A horror movie also teaches a person to cope. Experts say watching horror movies can help you practice coping strategies. People who watch them a lot are learning how to deal with uncertainty and suspense and anxiety. Also, horror fans are more resilient and less psychological distress than the non-horror fans in the face of today's COVID-19 pandemic, likely because of their well-honed coping skills.
When you are watching a horror movie, you tend to regulate your emotion such that you are also enjoying that emotion while being afraid. It is what people do when they watch a scary movie, which gives them an edge in their overall personality of dealing with the situation. Last and the most scary of all is actually you kind of relate to the perpetrator. While watching a horror movie, you also explore your dark side.
One reason we might be drawn to horror is that it allows us to explore those taboo parts of ourselves. With a movie like Carrie, for example, a lot of people identify with her being bullied and tormented at school and at home. She says, do you then root for her to slaughter her classmate? I think a lot of people do. Identifying with the perpetrator is classically Freudian interpretation of why we like horror. It is the same reason Freud would say we like to watch boxing. We are not identifying with the person getting hit. We are identifying with the person beating the crap out of other guy. I think a lot of people would struggle to admit that, but truth be told, I think that is probably going on some level. Horror movies can explore topics like race, gender, sex, pregnancy, family, children, failure, violence, death, politics, good, evil, faith, paranormal, and everything else that people are so afraid to talk about. In turn, the audience can grapple with these difficult things in safety of a multiplex. In the same way that someone might listen to a sad music in order to relieve their sadness, audience can enjoy horror as a means of relieving their own fear. A person who hates a horror film once told me that she felt anyone could make a scary story because everyone has had a nightmare, and I think it's somewhat true because life is dark and frightening.
Sometimes we need to watch a nightmare to properly process our own, and sometimes it's not that deep and it's just fun to watch bucket of blood get splashed around or getting a few jump scares, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any feedback, please let us know in the comment section below, and do not forget to share and subscribe. Please press the bell icon, man.
ओ सीधे बाहों में भर ले, सरसरी क्यों बढ़ाए मेरी हीरिए मेरी अरे रोको ना टोको ना जी लेने दे रज घुलमिल लौंडा घुलमिल। वो इधर घंटा सा लगा, उसको दबा दो भैया, बहुत हेल्पफुल होता है।